Phoenix Fuel Masters bowed out of the Commissioner's Cup after getting the lowest quotient among the three teams that placed 8th in the import-laden conference. Now, what are their takeaways from the mid-season tourney? We still have here with us Matthew Wright, and welcome to Sports Desk, Mr. Doug Kramer. Hello, Doug. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thank you
see you. Congratulations on the new house.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's talk about the conference. You guys dominated, or you played well in the All-Filipino Cup.
Yes.
And then you were out here of the playoffs in the Commissioner's Cup. In one word, how would you describe your campaign in the Commissioner's Cup, Doug?
We should never leave, we were relying on some teams already in the end to lose. And you never want to leave your fate to other teams. And 4 wins is just not going to cut it. We were targeting 5, 6 wins towards the end when we needed those wins. And towards the end, it was kind of hard when we lost towards the end of the games, and then suddenly now we have to rely on other teams just to get into the playoffs or trying to get to a playoff against Alaska. But it's really tough. You can't leave it to chance. So no matter how successful our previous conference was, we still had a job to do, which we didn't. So now hopefully for the next conference, we won't be in the same boat as this one.
Matthew, how about you? How would you describe your campaign in the Commissioner's Cup?
To be honest, it was disappointing. It was very frustrating for us to go from, I felt like we finally got over that hump last conference.
Yeah.
That hump to get to where we needed to be, one of the elite teams, top 4 teams. And then, to have our season riddled with injuries and suspensions and, a lot of distractions off the court. I felt like it really trickled down and it permeated through the whole team. And, it was a little bit, it was a letdown this conference big time from what it was last conference, which we're trying to get back to.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. There was some optimism, a lot of optimism actually, and hope entering this conference. You got Rob Dozier as your import, who's a veteran in the PBA, and then you're an intact team. Yeah. But when Dozier went down with that injury, and then Calvin with the suspension, do you think ultimately that sealed your guys, like your fate in this Commissioner's Cup?
Well, there's only 11 games each conference, so every game is crucial.
Yes.
You go on a 2-game losing streak, a 3-game losing streak, your season might be done right there. So, for all of that to happen, the second game of the season, we started off with a win, and then everything kind of fell apart after the Talk and Text game, which was the second game of the season. Just nothing really you can do about it. Injuries is something that's part of the game. Suspensions you can kind of control. I think that's one thing that we have to really work on, just remaining calm and remaining civil in situations when things get rough. But that's something we can bring into next conference to hopefully have a much better showing.
Doug, you've been in the league for how many years already? You're one of the veterans and the kuyas of this brotherhood team that you got. What do you think changed from comparing the Philippine Cup to the Commissioner's Cup, especially when Dozier went down, Calvin was out?
Well, those definitely contributed, diba? But we still won a few games after their suspensions, even Coach Louis' suspension. But you deal with what you have, and we figured it out for a couple of games, and then towards the end, we just started losing again. But definitely it was a big hit to us when Calvin was suspended, and then with Rob going down. But we got a very good import in Rich.
Yeah.
But this is how it is. Sometimes in the PBA, you're always dealt with injuries, with hurdles that you need to get over with, and you have to figure it out. In this conference, we couldn't.
Last time Matthew was here, Doug, he was with Calvin. And you told us how valuable a Calvin Abueva is to a team. And I agree. Having a beast there, doing everything on the floor, leaving it on the floor, on both ends, offensively and defensively. How much do you guys miss Calvin, the beast, especially towards those games that you needed him to win?
I was very vocal with the media saying that I felt like we lost an edge and we lost a little bit of our
your oomph.
Yeah, a little bit of oomph when Calvin got suspended, because he plays a huge part in just his antics and his presence out there. It gives you confidence. It intimidates the other team. It gets the crowd going. So there's a lot of factors behind him. It's not just 18 points and 12 rebounds that we're missing. It's the intangibles. So, it's hard to replace intangibles. If you don't have that mentality, that attitude, you just don't have that. But you can you can manufacture points, rebounds, assists through other players, but you can't really get the same Calvin Abueva, you know.
The energy.
That energy.
Unlimited energy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get from Calvin. You know, you take the good with the bad. But with Calvin, you know, he's improved our team so much. And you could see the jump from our, how the Phoenix team was when he entered.
Drastic when he came in.
Drastic, very drastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how it is when you have Calvin, diba? But you have to deal with what's happened. And then hopefully lessons are learned so that it may not be replicated again in the future.
Can I put you both on the hot spot really quick? No. We're friends, but do you guys know?
I can easily turn this around.
Do you guys know, or you guys have you heard when he'll be back? Calvin will be back. Do you think he'll play in the next conference?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't
think any of us knows.
I don't think anybody knows, not even himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just it's an awkward situation. But you know, hopefully, with his apology, you know, he can get back to playing, you know, the sport that he loves, and you know, I know a lot of people miss him.
Calvin deserves a chance. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the 4 teams you beat are still in playoff contention. Semis bound Barangay Ginebra. The 2nd seed, Northport Batang Pier, who have a game against San Miguel tonight. 3rd seed, Blackwater. 8th seed, Alaska. Then you had a 4-7 record in the elimination round. You fell 1 game short of entering the playoffs. Can you think of one game that you thought was winnable in that conference?
All of them.
Yeah, we lost. I don't think there was any blowouts. There was a lot of close games that we could have won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what game that sayang? That sayang game.
Colombia?
Colombia was
Colombia
a tough loss, especially because we came off of 2 big wins that week. We thought that we had the momentum going into that week. You know, we had to win 1 more game in the last 3 games to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just.
Colombia and NLEX.
NLEX also, the last game.
Those were must-win games
Absolute
for
must-win.
us. That would have brought us to 5 wins and avoid all of those ties.
Quotient,
yes.
Yeah, exactly what Doug said. You don't want to leave the destiny, your team's destiny, in the hands of another team.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. We were out there praying and hoping that certain teams would win, and that's just not how you get things done.
You know, talking to you guys, listening to you guys, I feel that sense of sayang, that yung what could have been, what if. What are your key takeaways from this conference, Doug? Something that you've learned from
Our record doesn't speak of how our team is. That's for sure. We're not, we don't get eliminated that easy. And we've definitely improved over the conferences. And this is not the Phoenix that people are used to seeing. And, you know, we're going to go back to the drawing board and make sure that next conference won't be like this.
What does Phoenix need to do to turn things around in the Governor's Cup so we can see that Phoenix back, that same Phoenix team that we saw in the Philippine Cup? Matthew?
We just have to maintain that same hunger. If you come to our practices, you know, I can probably bet that we practice harder than, or just as hard as any other team in the PBA. So everybody who comes to practice, they want to work, they want to get better. Everyone has that chip on their shoulder, you know, underdog mentality. As long as we keep that, you know, we don't think we're too social or, you know, too anything like that. We just got to continue to be, you know, that Phoenix grind, that grind style of basketball. As long as we have that, you know, we can't control it. Those are the only things we can control. Injuries and all that stuff is out of our hands. But as long as we have everyone healthy, you know, and then we have Eugene coming back next conference.
Eugene Phelps?
Yep. So yeah, everyone knows, you know, how good Eugene is, and you know, just get that camaraderie back, and you know, I feel like we'll be back in the top 4.
We still have here with us PBA stars Matthew Wright and Doug Kramer of the Phoenix Fuel Masters. Doug, you're dad to 3 and arguably the most popular kids in the country. I think no one will argue that. Of course, Kendra, Scarlett, and Gavin. Talk about the attention they get, you guys get, Team Kramer, as a dad. How do you handle that kind of popularity, especially now in the age of social media?
Well, you always want to keep them grounded. So you always want to make them remember where everything comes from. You know, we're blessed by God. How easily He can bless you, He can take it away that fast also. So it comes along with being a father and a mom, like Chex, how we always teach them lessons and everything, and always to remember where they come from. You know, we started out really small, I explained in our video.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-time, big time, let's move into this house. We always started out renting like everybody else, making ends meet. So I think that's why there's been an endearing connection between the fans and us. because they've
They saw.
also,
Yeah.
they've seen the struggles, they've seen the journey, and more than the tour, that's actually what I wanted to get out there was the message.
Okay, and we're seeing pictures of you and your new house. You actually have that lovely new house. Congratulations.
Which Matthew didn't like. He said it was
Look
all
at that
right.
house.
Thank you, Matt.
Matthew Wright said on social media it was all right. He got bashed.
Cappuccino. Team Kramer fan.
Look at that house. Okay, grab it. Talk about this house and why it means so much to you. Because you were so hands-on this new house. For every detail, di ba? Talagang look at that. Ganda. Oh.
I know every detail underneath the tiles, behind the walls, above the ceiling. I was there. The last 6 months of the project, I pretty much took over. So it's a step above being hands-on. And that's... The house is nice, but you look at the family. I mean, more than the house, honestly. Everyone's impressed with the house, but in a world where there's full of broken families and broken marriages, you take a look at the family.
Yeah.
For me, that's the most important.
How long did it take for you to...
It took a year and 8 months, but because of the details, honestly, it could have gone over 2 years.
Oh, wow.
But because, like you said, being hands-on with the job and knowing everything about the house, a lot of the house actually was a lot of corrections from our previous one, so I wanted to make sure to improve on it.
Yeah.
So I had I wouldn't say experience. Actually, experience na nga lang eh. From the
Natutunan
previous,
from- yeah,
So I
okay.
applied it here, and it turned out really well.
Papi Chino, how about you? You didn't like it, the house?
It was okay.
Okay, you're about to be a dad again, right, Matthew?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations. You announced last month that you and your girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Have got a little muffin in the oven. How excited
Yeah.
are you?
We're both very excited.
You make me ninong?
Of course, Doug has to be
Godfather?
Ninong. But yeah, just another child for me. Another means of motivation, inspiration. I'm excited to be a father again, and excited to pass on the life lessons that I learned, to my son.
He's asking if you're going to make him Nino, Godfather.
Yeah.
I already
Have
asked
the
to put my
baptism at-
name.
Have the baptism at
Whatever
his
name it
house.
will be,
actually-
can it be Douglas,
Yeah.
right?
He
Or
actually
something
said
there?
if you name him Douglas Wright, I get free diapers for a year.
Ever in milk for a year.
Okay. Doug, last month, Kendra won 2 gold medals. Now let's talk about sports. Yeah, Kendra, wow, 2 gold medals from a swimming competition.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah,
As an
actually, the
athlete
first
yourself-
one was a gold.
Okay.
And then the second one was a bronze medal. She placed in that, but she was against, I think, 18 kids.
Wow, ang dami.
So yeah, and it was her first time to compete, and then the second time around. So it's very, very different when you see your child competing.
Uh-huh.
If you can you see the videos screaming like anything there. But I'm so proud because it's still
Stage
the
that
start.
there,
Yeah, I am. I'll
As
be
an
there to
athlete-
support them all the way.
Yeah, grabe. Is sports something that you encourage to your kids, especially being an athlete yourself?
I think the first thing is you want to expose them to different ones, and then you want to see what they're interested in.
Okay.
And so far, Kendra loves swimming.
Swimming.
Yeah, and she's a natural because Cheska was a competitive swimmer before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she used to compete. So if you watch Kendra, Scarlett, and Gavin, they're natural swimmers.
Oh, wow.
Natural, super fast. They're like fishes. Fish.
Okay, Matthew, meantime, your son, Preston, is a bit of a baller, right? He's a baller. Would you want to see him follow your footsteps, eventually play for, in the PBA, play for the country?
Oh, of course. I would love to see him play basketball. But I also know, as a parent, you don't want to force things, especially sports. You don't want to force particular sports
yeah.
for your own selfish endeavors on a kid because they got to pick up the sport organically and naturally. Just like I picked up basketball, just like Doug picked up basketball. No one forced us to do it. We just were drawn to it. We liked it. And, that's it. But, he seems to be very interested in basketball, especially with the success of the Raptors recently. He's in Toronto right now, so the whole city was going crazy. Everybody's a basketball fan, so I feel like that energy is really gonna help him, cultivate that basketball talent. And I'd love to have him get his Philippine passport. Maybe he'll be on, one of the future Gilas teams eventually.
And why not? Maybe he can watch the World Cup.
Yeah, of course.
What, for both of you, what advice would you give your kids should they pursue sports as a profession like you guys? Like, pursuing sports as a way of life.
Well,
And
for me, I'm a big advocate of sports just for life lessons. I feel like being an athlete, well, just being immersed in sports your whole life, it teaches you a lot about life that, you know, you wouldn't learn elsewhere. You know, being, you know, having to deal with adversity, having to deal with, you know, competition,
Yeah.
discipline, you know, both mentally and physically. There's a lot of things that, you know, people just aren't jocks. You know, we're not just jocks out there just sweating. You know, this is, you know, these things are for bigger pictures, and all these lessons that we learn through basketball and through sports is going to carry over in life lessons as well.
Doug?
I think for me, yeah. People are so fixated on gadgets nowadays. Send your kids out, make them play sports. The biggest takeaway that I've seen, especially for Kendra, is nothing's going to be given to you. You have to compete. Other people want that gold too. Other people want that silver. Yep. Everyone wants to get a medal.
Yep.
And that's something that you need to learn when you compete. And you'll get that in sports.
All right, boys, thank you so much. This was fun. This was fun. This is a fun episode, and hope you guys come back.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Doug. Again, we just had PBA stars Matthew Wright and Doug Kramer of the Phoenix Fuel Masters.